Last year, Motley Crue completed their highly anticipated stadium tour after coming out of retirement. The band signed a contract in their blood, guaranteeing they would never tour again. But then, understandably, something interesting happened. Netflix released The Dirt about the band, and it was a huge success, which ultimately led the band getting introduced to younger generations of fans to make a decision that I think we would all make the same, coming out of retirement to capitalize on that big wave of success they were having. Honestly, they would be foolish not to. And so, understandably, the stadium tour was a breakout success for the band. Can't take anything away from them there. But later last year, we learned the band's legendary guitarist, Mick Mars, would be retiring from the band. After that, though, something interesting also happened where we heard from the band's former vocalist, John Corabi, who expressed some hesitation about Mick Mars' retirement, saying he wasn't exactly sure about this because he believed the statement came from Crue's management, and he said he'll believe it when he hears it directly from Mick Mars. And by the way, Mick Mars to this date has not ever publicly commented on this outside of that crafted statement we originally heard. And then this week we got a new interview with legendary drummer Carmine Appice with Ultimate Guitar, in which he said he had spoken to Mick Mars about this, and Mick Mars was unhappy with some pre-recorded guitars being used on the stadium tour. He wasn't able to play the way he wanted, he said he felt, and that caused some tension, according to him, inside of the band. Now, whether or not that ultimately led to his decision to retire, we don't know, because again, it is true, we haven't heard from Mick Mars about this. Now, Nikki Sixx is understandably frustrated. He says that people are speaking for him, and that pisses him off. He was also critical of the media. But to be fair, this isn't the first time this has even come up. This isn't the first time Nikki Sixx has addressed this. This isn't the first time Nikki Sixx has feuded with other musicians on this very subject, even in this decade. There's a long and interesting history which involves one of the biggest bands of all time, and we're going to take a look at that today. Do us a quick favor and hit that subscribe button with notifications on for the latest rock news, and stick around to the end for some Motley Crue trivia. Late last year, during an episode of Life in the Stocks, former Motley Crue vocalist John Corabi was asked for his opinion on Mick Mars' retirement. He said in part, "The statement that we heard was put together by Motley and their people, and I'm not totally sure I believe what they're saying, so I'll just leave it at that." He later added, "I don't totally believe Mick's reasons for leaving Motley, and I don't know if he left Motley. I believe maybe he was shown the door, because as long as I can remember, when we were doing Generation Swine record, they were complaining about his guitar playing then." That comment from Corabi is particularly noteworthy considering what Carmine Appice said in an interview this past week. Carmine told Ultimate Guitar, "I've been talking to Mick, and he told me when I was on the stadium tour, I was not happy. Basically, everything was on tape. It was all planned out and ultimately a lot of crap. And Mick is a pretty good player." He went on to say, "When you play in a stadium like that, you can hear a lot of things come on the monitors or what doesn't. And with Vince's vocals, bass, drum, guitars, and all that other stuff, it was obvious that it was all on tape. And Mick was pissed off and said, I can play these things. I want to play them. I don't want to make believe I'm playing them. So I think that's one of the reasons why he said, I'm done. Sure, the disease that he has doesn't help, and it doesn't make life easy on tour. But Mick can play all the licks, and he wasn't allowed to." Nikki Sixx was frustrated by all of this, sharing this response online. "Love how people talk for us without talking to us. This is why the media has lost credibility. Obviously, by printing BS, they make money off of advertising, and we're not into that clickbait game. When the truth comes out, it'll be from us." He added, "A washed-up drummer trying to speak for us, and bottom-feeder media running with it to make money off of lies? Welcome to the sad new world of look at me, look at me. Up next for us, a stadium tour in Europe, Australia, and Japan." So is this simply a case of a washed-up drummer just making things up out of the blue? Well, one of the biggest bands of all time has previously made similar claims about Motley Crue. If you haven't seen Motley Crue and Metallica playing shows together, even though there probably is a lot of overlap between their fan bases, this might be the reason. Over the years, there's been tension between the members of Metallica, to say the least, particularly between Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee and Metallica's Lars Ulrich. While conversation about Motley Crue's live show has erupted this week, they faced similar allegations in the past, namely from legendary Metallica drummer Lars Ulrich, who in the late 90s accused Motley Crue of performing to a tape at the American Music Awards. Similarly to Carmine Appice, this infuriated Nikki Sixx, who posted on a forum a lengthy letter responding, calling Lars sweet, fat, and balding. He said in response at the time, "Dear sweet, fat, balding Lars, love the makeup, babe. Take your ever moronic soapbox position on a subject that's none of your fucking business has made you out to be an asshole as usual. Considering that me and Tommy know that your live tapes have been re-recorded and all your instruments were repaired in Pro Tools and had that balls to lie to your fans and call it a live album, people in glass houses should not throw rocks. Considering your bullshit to the press, we feel it's only fair to return the punch. You're such a poser. Thanks for releasing that load of shit CD of yours. You made more room for us. In an interview back in 2015, Motley Crue vocalist Vince Neil actually hung up on a radio host when he asked him about it. He asked about the alleged beef between Metallica and Motley Crue, to which Vince Neil responded, "Hey, look, you have to ask Nikki about that because I had no idea there was anything between us and Metallica until I read it. I had no idea." He was pressed again about this, to which Neil responded, sounding frustrated, "I know, I saw it, but like I said, I had nothing to do with it, because like I said, I had no idea that there was any bad blood between us and Metallica." Neil added, "There is no lip syncing in rock and roll. I mean, it just doesn't happen, so it's kind of stupid thing to even talk about because, I mean, anybody who goes to the show can tell there's no lip syncing involved. It's pretty lame." Around that same time, Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee posted this meme featuring Lars Ulrich writing, "Straight out of tempo." So who knows? Certainly Mick Mars hasn't commented on any of this. We don't know what the truth really is in this situation, but it's interesting to hear the perspective from John Corabi and how that compares to what Lars Ulrich said in the late 90s, and how that also compares to Carmine Appice, with John Corabi saying the band was complaining about Mick Mars playing, with Carmine Appice saying Mick Mars said to him that he was unhappy with pre-recorded guitars, and then Lars in the late 90s accusing Motley Crue of playing to a track. It's all very interesting. Do with that what you will, but let's do some Motley Crue trivia. What song are these lyrics from? "Just one look will drive you wild. Slide through the night with the Viper's smile." Let us know in the comments, but don't Google that. And also be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and check out the recommended video up on your screen.